As someone who loves to create content for the internet, whether it be photos or videos, we are constantly inundated with new cameras, new tech, new computers that we should be upgrading to. I'm going to suggest to you guys maybe why and when I choose to upgrade either my cameras or my computers, and I think about it a little bit differently than what I'm seeing on the internet so far. We're going to be doing a giveaway partnered with Hollyland, so if you guys are interested in winning their Lark M2 wireless lav system, stay tuned to see how you guys can do that. Let's start with cameras and when you should be looking to upgrade your camera. The first question that I have for you is, are you a professional photographer or videographer? Are you getting paid to do this work that you can repurpose into putting into a new camera? If you are not currently getting paid as a photographer or videographer, then I do suggest keep using the camera that you have. The baseline for a camera that you probably need to be able to make half decent content is anything that can shoot JPEG, but ideally RAW, and a phone or a tablet or a computer that can edit those. Now you can get software like Lightroom that most of us use to edit that. That comes at a little bit of a cost, but again, you can get a ton of free software for your mobile device to be able to edit those photos cheaply and affordably, and you can make some pretty great edits on your phone as well. So stick with the camera that you have. Maybe it's just your mobile phone. Invest your time into YouTube and learning how to edit those photos properly. Now, if you are maybe getting a few photography jobs and you want to show up looking like a legitimate photographer and actually have a camera and lens in your hand, then I do suggest starting with a baseline of something like an APS-C camera. I started my career shooting on a Sony a6300 and some Sharp Sigma glass. So that doesn't have to cost you that much money, and you can get started taking highly professional photos, getting some depth of field and blur in your images that maybe your mobile phones don't offer you. And honestly, I used those small, tiny Sony cameras for about 3 to 4 years and did professional paid work with those cameras. You can actually get really good professional results if you know how to use those cameras well. So now you've been using those APS-C cameras and you might start to find the limitations. Some of the limitations in those cameras comes with noise. If you have to start using your ISO in low light situations, or you're running and gunning and the cameras can't keep up with maybe the autofocus, or you need a little bit more of that professional looking bokeh in the background, this is where you might start looking into a full frame camera. The last 4 years, guys, every camera that's come out on the market is incredible. Absolutely beautiful. The autofocus is snappy. The image that you're going to get out of that camera is going to be beautiful, especially if you've already taken the time to learn how to edit those photos. Then this might be the time to upgrade. You might be getting more paid work and those jobs might be paying you a little bit more. So now you can put that money into a bigger camera because you know that the jobs you're going to get are going to pay for that system. Now, there are some hesitations that I might suggest for you when you're getting into a bigger camera. If you're a photographer, you really do need to think about, do you need a better camera? Do you need more megapixels? And if you need more megapixels, why do you need more megapixels if you're just posting to Instagram? What you might actually need is just a better lens. Again, if you're shooting APS-C format or micro four thirds, investing in something that has a lower aperture is going to give you better results and allow you to actually keep your ISO lower. Some of the benefits of going to a full frame camera is you have now the ability of, better bokeh and slightly better depth of field, but you do have the ability to push your ISO a little higher without worrying about seeing those grain in your images faster. For me, as a professional in this space, I love using full frame cameras. I like not really having the limitations that an APS-C format camera or smaller brings to you, but I also know a ton of people who are using micro four thirds Lumix cameras that are creating incredibly professional content. So learn how to use the camera is always step one, and then figuring out what tools you need inside that camera to help you make money is essentially ultimately the goal. Although making money isn't always the goal for people, so keep that in mind. If you don't care to make money doing this and just want to do it for fun, then you probably don't need to upgrade your cameras anyways. Another quick point I'll make on cameras is depending on the work you're doing, you actually don't need the latest and greatest thing. I just bought the Fuji X-T30 Mark II. I bought it used on Facebook Marketplace, and rather than spending money on the X100VI that is already overpriced and overhyped, then I actually have a camera that has most of those features and interchangeable lenses for literally half the price. So I spent money on a cheaper camera body, but invested more in an actual lens. Now that camera will not be used for professional work. It will be used for fun photos around the house, capturing memories with my wife and my child. So it all does depend on what you're using that camera for. If you are getting into a bigger, better system, that could come with some drawbacks for your computer, which we will get into later. In the last few years, when it comes to videography specifically, we're getting into 4K, 6K, 8K, and different bit rates inside of those cameras, offering you more color depth. Now, something you need to be aware of is when you get into that realm of videography or even higher resolution photography, you might start to slow down your computer. So when you're shooting in 4K, 422 10-bit color, your computer needs to be able to process those videos well enough that you can actually keep up with the workload. So be aware that if you're buying a better camera, you might need to start looking at a new computer. Every camera, of course, has its limitations, but I think the more you know and the more research you do, you can get into the right camera for you. Now, before we get into the computers section, leave any comments down below so I can answer any questions for you guys that you might have on cameras, what camera system you're using, and maybe some suggestions of what you could get into. As I mentioned, I've partnered with Hollyland on this video in order to give you guys one of their wireless lav systems. I've actually chosen to move over to the Hollyland wireless lav system this year because the mic is so tiny and the quality is actually very good. It's what you've been listening to this entire video. And what I love about this microphone system is it comes with everything you need in this pack. Obviously, we can use it on our cameras, but there's plugins that go directly into your phone, into your iPad, and turn them into high quality recordings as well. And there comes with 2 in this pack. I love that these microphones are honestly so small, and so you can use the magnets on the back. It comes with a hot clip mount as well. So I really love these. I think they are innovative, which I love innovation in this space. The contest details to win this is actually going to be over on my Instagram channel. So make sure to go check me out on Instagram and go find the post of the Hollyland microphone, and we will be doing a giveaway over there. So go check it out and you guys can have a chance to win this lav mic system. I highly recommend it. I really enjoy using it. So as I mentioned, when you start to upgrade your camera gear, you need to essentially upgrade your computers to make sure it can handle the content that you're throwing at it. I am a professional photographer and videographer, so I'm a hybrid shooter is what we are called, which means that I need a computer that can keep up with the heavy workload of my video. Now, whenever Apple released their silicone chips, the M1, and the M1 absolutely slays 4K 422 video. I was using the M1 Pro laptop for a long time, and that was fully sufficient for professional video editing, and it really only slowed down when you started stacking effects and things on top of it that started to bog down the computer. Now, as we get into the M4 chip, the question has been for a lot of people, do you need the M4? And if you're on an M1, do you need to upgrade? Or if you're on an Intel chip, should you upgrade? My question for you isn't, do you need the slight spec bump? And this is what I find interesting is everyone's talking about it moves from a 30-second export to a 20-second export, when realistically 10 seconds isn't gonna change your life in export time. So that's not really how I think about how to upgrade your computer. I think the most important thing to think about is, can it keep up with you and the work that you're doing, whether that's high quality photography or videography. If it can, and you're not doing a ton of professional work and you need to make back those 10 seconds in exporting, then I don't think you need to do the upgrade. The reason that I upgraded from an M1 Pro this year to an M4 Pro is because tech moves quite quickly. So whether it's a camera or whether it is your computer, if you don't sell your camera or computer within maybe 4 to 5 years, the technology moves so quickly right now that those almost become irrelevant. People aren't going to want to buy a 10 megapixel camera or a computer that can only edit 4K. So for me, when it comes to upgrading tech as a professional in the creative space, is making sure that I'm keeping up with current standards, but also that I can repurpose what I have and sell it for enough money that someone actually can still get use out of it and pay kind of the maximum dollar for what it's worth. The longer you wait on certain pieces of gear, they really do become irrelevant. And so that's a part of my thinking. And I know that that's different than just getting a spec bump that some people think about. But for me, with the level of innovation that's coming from Apple and from cameras and from all of the tech space, honestly, I do try and keep up well enough that my previous pieces of gear don't become irrelevant. If you're someone who is just starting in video and you only need basic video editing, then you probably would be good with anything M1 and above. My overall thoughts on upgrading cameras and computers in 2024 is if you are reaching the limitation of the tool that you are using, then upgrade that tool. But I don't think that most of us are using tools that are actually having the limitations. You might be the limitation at this point. So learn how to use that gear properly. And if you're starting to run into limitations with that gear, then upgrade it. And of course, hopefully you're starting to get paid for this type of work and you can start to use that money to put it back into your cameras. So those are my thoughts on why or when you should upgrade your camera gear. Good luck navigating the craziness of cameras and computers in the modern day. I always want to upgrade. Let's be honest, we always want the new thing, but sometimes you don't need it. So spend your money wisely, and I do hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like for me. You might like that video there. You can subscribe to the channel, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. Also, there's 40% off my presets down below. Okay, see ya.